Hello, it is 1 p.m. in Moscow. It is 11 a.m. in Madrid. I'm Monita Rajpal.
And I'm Zain, Verjee. You're watching World 1 live from London.
The Japanese Prime Minister Naoto Kan has survived a no-confidence vote in Parliament despite criticism of his government's response to the March tsunami and the nuclear crisis that followed. The opposition motion to unseat Mr. Kan was defeated by 293 votes to 152. Had the motion passed, he would have had to step down within 10 days. CNN's Kyung La is in Tokyo. She joins us now. And Kyung, at the risk of sounding like I'm making light of this story, which I'm not, I have to say, here we go again.
Absolutely, and you're well within your right to say that, because there have been 5 prime ministers in 5 years. If Naoto Kan had lasts until next Thursday, a week from now,
You see, that it's really interesting. You're saying Naoto Kan would be the longest-serving prime minister out of 5 in 5 years, and he would be celebrating his 1-year anniversary as prime minister next week. So that would be the longest-serving prime minister. Now, people would then question the whole Japanese political system and the government system as a whole. On the one hand, they could say, in a way, this is good. If you don't like what the government is doing, you can call a no-confidence vote and say, out with the head. But then there are those who will say, well, that certainly doesn't bring any sense of stability to the country.
And certainly no sort of a cohesive economic policy. There is a lot of criticism about what is wrong with the system of Japan's parliament. But as you say, it is easier.
A lot being said on the papers about this story. Here in Britain, the Herald has the headline, Yemeni capital rocked by series of explosions. The article says analysts are worried that instability in Yemen could embolden a local al-Qaeda wing that has attempted attacks on the United States and Saudi Arabia. Gulf News has this headline, ending the Yemen bloodshed, and it goes on to say the way forward now does not look like being an interim government based on a popular movement, but more of a transfer to tribal or military leaders, and even that is looking less likely as civil war looms. The Guardian has this headline, dozens killed in the street-by-street battle for Sana'a, and the article talks about the worsening situation for the people there. It says Yemen is on the brink of financial ruin, with about a third of its 23 million people facing chronic hunger. It is running out of oil and water. We turn now to Europe, where worries are growing over what exactly is safe to eat after Russia said it was banning fresh vegetables from the EU to keep out a deadly E. coli infection. The disease has killed 15 people in Germany and 1 in Sweden. That's according to local media reports. German scientists said at first they thought it came from cucumbers that were shipped in from Spain. Now they admit that was a mistake, but haven't actually pinned down the real source of this bacteria. For more on this story, we're joined by CNN's Matthew Chance in Moscow. And Matthew, we understand that the Consumer Protection Agency, the head of the Consumer Protection Agency in Russia, is actually attacking the EU health standards when it comes to that. They're saying that these are the health standards that Russia has been asked to follow, and now they're saying that's not even good enough.
Yeah, well, certainly Russia often gets compared to the European Union in many regards, particularly its health and safety standards. I think
no surprise here. Sepp Blatter has survived the scandals swirling around football's governing body. So what are his plans now for FIFA's future? Let's get a sports update now with Don Riddell. He may have survived the vote because there was no one else to contest him, but what he actually does with his presidency now is a whole other question, isn't it?
There'll be an awful lot of interest in it. Monita, thanks very much. Sepp Blatter is today beginning his 4th and final term as FIFA president. The Rajpal was very happy to see that as well.
Indeed, the excitement is palpable in Canada whenever there's a Stanley Cup, especially when it's a Canadian team.
Any Canadian team.
Yeah, any Canadian team. And the fact of the matter is, you know, ice hockey is not a gentlemanly sport.
Clearly not.
All right, Don, thank you very much. Meteorologist Jennifer Delgado has more on those deadly, rare tornadoes. She joins us now from the World Weather Center with that. Jen.
Yeah, you're right. Deadly indeed, and in fact rare. You typically only see about 2 across parts of Massachusetts for
Monita.
Dying to know. You're watching World 1 live from London. Hundreds of senior U.S. government officials face a hacking attack from China. The former Bosnian Serb military leader Ratko Mladic is preparing for his first appearance at the International Criminal Tribunal on Friday. The 69-year-old was arrested last week after nearly 16 years on the run. He's charged with the killing of about 8,000 Muslim men and boys in Srebrenica in 1995. That's Europe's worst massacre since World War II. Doctors at The Hague say Mladic has been cooperative and is fit to stand trial. Judges are considering joining his case to the trial of the former Bosnian Serb political leader Radovan Karadzic. His trial's been underway for 18 months. He's charged with same crimes. We want to bring in someone with experience in trials of this kind. Jeffrey Nice is one of Britain's most senior barristers and led the prosecution of former Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic for crimes against humanity. Sir, thank you very much for being with us. How much of a difference would it make if they did indeed join the two trials with Karadzic and Mladic?
Well, it'd make it longer. Maybe Mladic would have to deal with the evidence that's already been given. He would certainly need time to prepare. So the eventual determination of the Karadzic trial would inevitably be delayed, possibly substantially.
Giving victims a voice and sharing their stories so that some might escape the same terrible fate in the future. We are devoting an entire year to exposing the inhuman world of modern-day slavery on CNN's Freedom Project. Did you know that 600 to 800,000 people are trafficked across borders every year? Many of them are young girls. More than 70% of those trafficked are female. And it's not just something from the history books. Slavery is happening right now in places you really might not expect. As Amber Lyon reports, girls from West Africa have wound up in the U.S. where the good life they were been promised is a very distant dream.
These girls were victims of something hard to believe.
The Libyan capital has been rocked again by a series of powerful explosions early this Thursday. At least 10 blasts were counted by CNN staff on the ground. NATO forces have repeatedly struck at Tripoli this week. Separately, in the rebel-held city of Benghazi, a car bomb went off in a hotel used by opposition leaders.
You're watching World One live from London. I'm Zain Verjee.
I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. The news continues on CNN.